Good morning, Gallahorn. This is Dave here, and this is the lost episode. Not so much that it was lost, it's just the fact that it took so long to generate. We originally filmed it right after the Super Bowl. It is the GMG in the Raw Super Bowl edition, where we talk about the Kansas City Chiefs win over the San Francisco 49ers, but that easily morphs into our discussion about the Vikings, the coaches, the cap situation, Kirk Cousins, how they're going to bring it back or how they're going to release some players to make room, etc. We also get into the fact that we congratulate Steve Hutchinson, great all-time left guard for the Minnesota Vikings, on making the Hall of Fame. One of the greatest left guards, not the greatest, but one of the greatest, obviously. And then we end up with a memorial, per se, for Chris Dolman. Heartfelt, much-loved player, much-loved memories. So, you want to enjoy this show? Let's get started. Go! This is the In the Raw version, Super Bowl edition, and welcome as you join Ted and Drew and myself, Dave, as we celebrate the most American of institutions, the Super Bowl. As we watched the Kansas City Chiefs come back and defeat the San Francisco 49ers to win Super Bowl 54. How you doing, Drew?
I'm doing good. I watch these games and I think, man, if this is the Vikings right now, I'd really be nervous or something. And then
then you go, it ain't the Vikings.
I wrote a post this morning about how much I miss having the day of the Super Bowl. It's been many, many years, but I thought it was an all right game. It played out okay. I thought the Niners kind of had them where they wanted to, and then Kansas City made some adjustments and came back, and Mahomes is a pretty good quarterback.
You think?
It was good. I had a good day. Good Super Bowl day. How about you guys?
Good. Hey, I enjoyed it.
Hip. Got to see Shakira shaking around, so that's cool. That was a good day.
We'll get to that
later. I saved that, by the way, that little...
Ted, how are you doing?
If I was any better, I'd be against the law. Let's light this candle. Let's go.
Boo!
That's all right. It was, I watch Super Bowl, I get more and more irritated that the Vikings aren't in it. Drew mentioned it's been, 40? So 77 after the 76 season. So, 43 years since they've been in
516 months, Mr. Glover.
And I see teams like the 49ers. They were terrible, and they figured it out, and they got to the Super Bowl. They didn't win, but they got there. Chiefs figured it out. First Super Bowl win since the 1969 season over our Minnesota Vikings. But that was the first time they'd even been back.
Yeah.
So I just cool, whatever. Yeah, it's a great game.
Awesome. Sandy Reid's first one, yes.
So, yeah.
How about the 49ers from 4-12 to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Fuck. They're doing something right over there. I don't know what it is, but
they beefed up their offensive line, beefed up their defensive line, and look where it got them.
Mm-hmm. And they got a quarterback with the it factor, who is now 26-6 for his career.
Jimmy Garoppolo?
Yeah, he's 26-6.
He didn't have today.
He would have been
N between the I and the T.
Well, and that gave him the 6. He only had 5 losses before that. When you look at him skill wise, and he's good, but he's not great, right? Even Kirk Cousins has better numbers in a lot of places.
Is Cousins better than Garoppolo?
In a lot of numbers, yes, he is.
No, I'm just talking about in terms of a quarterback. When you look at both of them and you evaluate them, do you think who's better, Garoppolo or Cousins?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Well, I'd
I'd have to sit and think on it for a
a
while.
lot of skills wise, i.e., accuracy, depth ball, the whole works. Cousins is better, but when it comes to the it factor and be able to step outside the box and do things off script, Garoppolo's got it beat by a mile. And to me, that's key. But that's just Dave. That's one of those factors I think it takes to win a Super Bowl. And tonight you had two quarterbacks that had that it factor. Obviously, Mahomes has it in spades. When the guy can sit there and look one direction and throw the other and complete a pass.
He didn't have it for 3 quarters, as far as I'm concerned. He was, but the fact is that he could turn it on and get and rally his team back is the difference.
Yeah.
But for 3 quarters, I mean, I know the Niners' defense was good, but he was not only throwing picks that he never does, but he was just throwing some lame passes. Mahomes was off his mark. But then he put his foot down and went, "Fuck this! I'm going to bring my team back," and that's the it factor. That's what he did.
That's exactly it.
But for 3 quarters, he was nothing really special out there. Neither of them were, really. The defensive line of San Francisco is really good. That Bosa was eating that guy's lunch all day.
Yeah.
He was killing that guy off the edge. So
he was.
I don't know. I want to be playing in this game next year.
What did you think of the running games? Both teams ran the ball.
Effective. I thought they were both effective.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kyle Shanahan got away from it, and it cost him another double-digit lead in a Super Bowl. So, I mean, if Kyle Shanahan ends up as a homeless alcoholic one day, we're going to know why. I mean, he blows a 28-3 lead as the offensive coordinator for the Falcons in the Super Bowl. He blows a 10-point lead as a head coach for the 49ers in the Super Bowl. I don't know. That's 35 points in his last 2 Super Bowls.
That's right. I forgot he was the coordinator for that game, for the Falcons.
He was. I'd be drinking an awful lot of alcohol the next couple of days if I was Kyle Shanahan. Yeah, I'm good anyways. But, I mean, if I was Kyle Shanahan, I'd be drinking even more. But
that guy has a tendency to get in grooves of what he's calling some really good plays, though. End arounds and, tight end screens off he play actions one way and, gets the flow of the defense. He has some good, I don't know, maybe dropping leads isn't good, though, in a Super Bowl. I mean, that's John Madden. That's my John Madden right there.
You got the lead, and then boom, you don't. Bang, you lost the lead.
I didn't think the Chiefs would be able to run the ball that well, to be honest. I think that helped them a lot in the long run. It just seemed like San Francisco had that game, and they just fucking let it get away in a matter of a couple drives.
They did, yeah.
Well, and that's that it factor, where Mahomes said, no, we're not going to let you run away from us, and took it.
Here's the thing that bothers me. Every time I watch the Super Bowl, I go back and I think about the Vikings.
Mm-hmm. Of course, we're Vikings.
Especially when one of the teams they're playing, one of the teams playing in the Super Bowl is one of the teams the Vikings played in the playoffs.
And lost to.
Or in the regular season. They played the Chiefs in the regular season too. So why could the Chiefs run effectively and the Vikings couldn't? Riddle me that, Batman.
Offensive line.
I don't know.
That's what it's got to be. It's either that or play calling, one or two.
That sort of thing really pisses me off, too. I mean, when you're watching a game and you know you've already played that opponent. Well, not with Kansas City. We couldn't even beat it with their backup quarterback.
No.
Yeah, but we should have.
But they didn't.
They didn't, yeah. That's the story of the 2019 season.
It comes down. I heard a guy say yesterday about the Super Bowl. You hear all the analysts talk, and they say, football games come down a lot to the last possession, which that's the point the guy was getting to. And I started thinking about the Vikings season. There's 3 games, maybe 4, where the Vikings had the ball right at the end. If they win those games, they got a bye, and they got home. I mean, it comes down. If they could pull those games out, they're 13-3. Mm-hmm. But they lost every one of those games when they had the ball at the end. Every time they lost.
And if I could lose 30 pounds and get plastic surgery, I'd be good looking. I just, it just, watching the Super Bowl just frustrates me anymore. I mean, I just, I just want to see the Vikings hoist the Lombardi just one time. And it just feels, after this season and with the stuff going forward, with the offseason coming up, it just feels like it's getting farther and farther away. I don't know.
2020 season, baby.
Are we going to be able to keep up with the San Francisco 49ers? I mean,
the one thing about the NFL is it's so cyclical, and who is good now could very well not be very good next year. I think, and teams that go to the Super Bowl or go to their conference championship games and lose generally tend to have a down year the following season. They call it the Super Bowl hangover or championship game hangover. I mean, the Vikings had it from 2017 to 2018. We'll see. I mean, I just does that mean that Packers got throttled in the NFC Championship? So we'll see if they have a downturn. I kind of thought they were sort of kind of a mirage at 13-3.
I think so too.
Well, looking into the NFC, who is the class teams of the NFC going into 2020?
Seattle's always good. You got to say
because
San Francisco.
they got Wilson. You got to say San Francisco.
Other than that, man, you know who I think is going to be sneaky good next year? I really do.
Who's that?
Arizona Cardinals. I think the Arizona Cardinals are going to be pretty good.
I do.
Well, they're out in the West with San Francisco and Seattle.
Yeah,
which is a good thing. Now, but what about the NFC East? You got Dallas.
Dwayne Haskins is going to return the Washington Redskins to prominent, baby. Let's go. No, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
You got the NFC South. It looked like obviously the Saints are the class of that division, but are
they if Drew Brees retires?
But is Drew Brees good anymore?
Drew Brees is going to retire.
He may.
You think he is?
That's my call.
And you've already heard that they want to go with.
When it comes to NFL news, Drew's never wrong.
I don't know, man. There's a couple really good teams. I think Seattle, San Francisco. The Packers were 13-3, but I still think that was a lot more smoke and mirrors than talent. Maybe they'll.
And Aaron Rodgers isn't getting any better. He's getting older.
I mean, outside the Packers in the North, I mean, does any team really frighten you? Do the Vikings, Bears, or Lions frighten you?
No, but what I'm saying is, even if the Vikings lose some of their defensive starters, which they probably will, we still have a chance because the NFC does not look like there's any particular powerhouses except for in the NFC West.
Yeah, that's possible.
Which gives us a path to the playoffs. If we make the playoffs, we have a chance.
You look at the state that the Vikings are in. I was still working on that post about the draft, and I got a hold of a guy who's a big Bills fan, as much as a Bills fan as we are Viking fans. Okay. And after the recording, I took all his picks for his drafts, and we went through all the drafts. Then afterwards, we were talking, kind of after the interview, just speaking on the phone, and we were talking about he was talking about the Vikings having no money, and then we started talking about the Bills have like $80 million.
Damn.
And you got one guy talking about, well, should we sign Cooper? Should we sign? They can sign anybody they want. When you hear one fan talking like that, and I'm just sitting there going, like the beat up kid in the corner going, we don't have any money. And I'm going to take his word for it. The Bills are going to be deep into the playoffs next year. They got a good setup going. They got a premier young running back with Singletary. They got a good young quarterback, even though he's got problems. He's developing pretty well.
And he's not afraid to take risks.
Brown on the outside, and they got a formidable defense. They're building kind of what we had in 2017. But, my point being, let me backtrack to what kind of team do we got right now going into the offseason? I mean, the fact that we're broke, we're not going to do anything in free agency, are we? I mean,
not unless they gut a good chunk of the defense, which very well may happen. They're not going to have the money to do anything.
And that itself puts up a big roadblock to what you want to do, doesn't it?
It does very much.
It's a huge gamble, a huge roll of the dice. If you get rid of 4, 5, 6 starters on the defense, you're taking that dice and you're blowing on it and you're and you're hoping to roll a winner when most likely you'll crap out. It's a
And then you got people going,
ginormous.
we have a
gamble.
good draft. How often do you have 5 starters going to draft?
You don't
get that.
You don't get that. You're not going to. If you get 3, you're lucky. 3 guys that are going to start and make a difference, you're lucky. One guy that starts and makes a difference as a starter is huge. They don't come around that often. And we're drafting at what, 25, number 25?
Yep.
Especially at that level, they don't exist.
I don't know that there's unless somebody really slips that nobody sees coming. I don't think there's a serious impact guy that far into the first round. Maybe it's happened before, sure. I mean, they got Harrison Smith. They traded up late into the first round to get him a few years back, and he's been exceptional. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I know it's a possibility. My point is, it's just going to seem like a long-ass, tough road.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it is.
It
is.
I hope they can make the right moves and make the right decisions and get the coaching staff figured out. It's just,
I think coaching staff is pretty much figured out already.
I said this, I think, the last show. It just feels like this iteration of the Vikings and the staff has gone about as far as they can go. I think 2020 is the do or die, and it just
the make
doesn't
or break,
feel
baby.
Yeah, and it just doesn't feel like they're going to start in the pole position coming out of the gate in 2020. I mean, it's if it's like the Daytona 500, they're starting in the 25th row and are going to have to move through a lot of traffic to get up to the front because they just don't, like Drew said, they don't have money. They're drafting pretty far back in the draft. You generally aren't going to get a lot of solid young talent you can throw in the starting lineup right away and make a difference. And their defense is going to look a lot different than it is next year. Or the defense is going to look a lot different next year than it did this year. Just
who did we talk about? Reef, Griffin, Rhodes,
Anthony Harris.
You're losing
4 guys
it.
right there.
We're losing
Mackenzie Alexander.
We're losing the free agents. Harris and Alexander, Waynes, those 3 could be gone. Then you have the guys that you can cut for salary cap reasons, which include Griffin, who may be a free agent depending on his choice. You have Rhodes that you can cut. Reef you can cut.
Linval Joseph.
Linval Joseph's another good one. You might think Harrison Smith. That would be rough. There's talk of trading Diggsy to free up money.
That's just stupid.
There's all sorts of ways to free up.
I thought of a question for you guys.
I wanted
to ask you guys.
$45 million.
If you're in Spielman and Zimmer's position, right? This is do or die, and you essentially know when it's do or die at any job. You kind of feel it.
Yeah.
If it's about the future and a really good quarterback fell to 25, if you draft a quarterback at 25, he's not going to start this year. So you're basically shit canning your impact player for the season.
Right.
So if you're a coach and a GM that feel like they got one foot in the grave and the other one on a bar of soap, do you just not take the quarterback because you figure you got to win it this year and the future's now? And
no,
I wouldn't if I was them. There's no way I'd take him. If I'm Rick Spielman, honest to God, I'm playing human nature here.
Okay.
If human nature is to save your skin, I don't care 2 hoots in hell about the future of the Minnesota Vikings 3 years from now. If I'm not part of the Minnesota Vikings, I'm doing everything I can to make the team as good as it can to go on as deep a run as I possibly think I can take it to save my job. I don't care. Okay. I don't care about anything else.
That's why I'm asking if a could fall and it happened to be a choice that we all said on draft night, grab him, and that what you just said plays into it, then that's not how you run a business. That's not how that should be done.
Well, the only exception is, say Tua falls to 25 because of his hip injury. And you're saying, well, he's healthy, he checks out, we're going with Tua, right? If Spielman says, I'm going to go with Tua, knowing I'm going to sit him a season, talks to Ziggy and says, hey, we've got our quarterback, but we're going to sit here and Let him mentor under Kirk Cousins for a year. We may be shitty this season. Will you keep us on if we get him? If he gets the green light, then he may go for, say, Tua at 25 if Tua drops that far.
So he uses that for an angle to keep his job.
Exactly. That's the only way. That's the only way. Otherwise, he's going for what he considers an impact starter. Like Ted said.
I just wanted to run that by you. I wanted to run that.
Do you know why that's not going to happen, Dave?
Why is that?
Because he sold Ziggy Wilf on Christian Ponder. he sold well, first of all, he sold Ziggy Wilf on Brett Favre, and that worked for like a year and a half.
It worked for a year. Yeah.
He sold Ziggy Wilf on Christian Ponder. He sold Ziggy Wilf on Teddy Bridgewater, and
which worked until the knee blew.
Teddy's knee is a completely different topic. And then he sold Ziggy Wilf on dropping $84 million guaranteed on Kirk Cousins.
No, you forgot Sam Bradford in there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he sold Ziggy on trading for Sam Bradford too. Very
to
good point.
Save it.
So if I'm
compounded that whole we don't have any money left, whereas before we had salary cap to play with.
If I'm Ziggy Wilf and a guy who has not done his job at the key position in football 4 times since he's been the GM comes to me and says, I have another solution for this problem that I haven't been able to solve, I don't care what your rationale is. I don't care. Don't care what your rationale is. I'm going to fire you. I'm going to fire you.
Right.
That would make sense, but the reports are that Ziggy and Mark Williams love Rick Spielman for whatever reason. They think he's the bee's knees or whatever you want to put it. He does whatever's necessary, and they love his decisions. That's what's reported. Now, if that's true or not, I don't know. But that's the rumors I'm hearing. And you and I and Drew all think this doesn't make sense. You've had chance A, chance B. We understand chance B, blew a knee. Chance C, chance D. You're not cutting it. We need to move on. But I don't know if the Wilfs feel that way.
I'm just saying.
It's kind of go ahead.
I don't think they're going to take a quarterback at 25. I think they're going to. Zimmer's already advocating for a corner. I'm telling you, he's going to take a corner.
It really sucks that, and I know there's scouts involved. There's a lot of heads involved or processes to drafting guys and developing guys. But our GM, the positions he's most terrible at is quarterback and offensive line, and that hurts. That hurts us fans because we can't seem to get. He can't pick a quarterback to save his life, and he sucks at drafting offensive linemen. This will be his 9th year, and our O-line still is questionable. So
yeah,
I wish our general manager sucked at picking kicker. Well, shit, that's a bad. I set myself up for that one.
That was sweet.
I wish he sucked at just picking other things rather than the big positions that matter. I mean, I don't trust. I think Cousins was 100% Spielman's call, and I think Zimmer shook his head and went, holy fuck, what are we doing? And if Spielman talks himself out of the Cousins thing, then he should get GM of the year for the next 10 years because he's so good at this fucking game. He's good at it.
Good at blowing smoke and talking bullshit.
The Cousins thing into me, I would have said, all right, we're doing this, but I'm going to stick firecrackers in your ass if this doesn't work, and you're gone. That's it. So maybe that's what we're hinging this last season on. The firecracker in the ass will come at the end of the year, but it sure hasn't worked. What is he? What is Kirk? 19, 13, and 1. And I know more people are involved in winning. You don't like to hang the win up on the quarterback, but still, you do. 19, 13, and 1 for $84 million.
Yeah, it is what it is at this point.
What has it done to all the rest of the contracts? What has it done to the whole team?
Well, Kirk's contract. It's not just Kirk's contract that have them where they are. I mean, you look at the contracts they laid out for Griffin and for Joseph and for Rhodes and Barr.
Barr's a big one.
And and Kendricks. I mean, and now Kirk's contract, by comparison to other quarterbacks, is fairly middle of the road now. I mean, I don't even know that it's when
I don't know about middle of the road, but
I mean
it's up there, but it's not a top 5 contract anymore.
It's market value, man. I mean, it's Kirk's contract and Kirk Cousins isn't the reason the Vikings are kind of sitting at the precipice that they're sitting at.
No,
I don't think. We'll see.
No, I want to say, like I said on the last episode, it started back in 2014 when you started to get your first set of linemen injured, and then went on to 2015, and then you had Teddy's knee, and then you had all the linemen die in 2016, and then and the getting of Bradford, and it just compounded itself like a rolling snowball, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, until we're at where we're at, where we're basically $10 million over the cap right now, and got to figure out how to get under it. They've got to do it, and it's going to cost the defense. If it only costs the offense, then we're screwed. But it's got to cost the defense, and there's enough older players on the defense that are not performing up to par or up to what is expected that should be able to be let go and let the younger guys come in, step up, and let Zimmer work his voodoo on the defense and let Kubiak work his magic on the offense to solve it.
Voodoo and magic. That's what we're relying on. Voodoo and magic tour.
That's all we got, baby. That's all we got.
The Voodoo style tour.
So we're back to if then.
We're back to if then. Exactly.
If Zimmer can coach up the young guys, and if Kubiak
can make the offense
find that old magic, then the Vikings might not be bad.
Exactly.
That's the way to start off 2020.
Absolutely. Happy New Year, everybody.
Same thing I heard with DiFilippo. If he's in magic, he's going to voodoo. Magic man. You're going to bring in this big offense. I heard it all off season. Big flop show.
Well, when's it start?
Kirk Cousins where he should be? I hear two sides of the story. A lot of people say, wow, he's got amazing weapons. How could he not be any better? And then I hear other people say, we haven't really built a team that works to his strengths. What is it with Kirk Cousins?
No, he's got weapons. I mean, obviously, he was the 5th-ranked quarterback in the league per PFF. It's just that... But
a run-first offensive line. Should you have built a pass-blocking first offensive line and then worried about the run after that?
Except for the coach wants to run first.
Well, but you don't run. The strength of your team is the guy who touches the fucking ball every week.
Adapt your team to the skills your players have.
I mean...
Whatever. Hey, Steve Hutchinson went to the Hall of Fame.
Hey, that was great, wasn't it? He's going in as a Viking.
They don't put hats on like they do in baseball, dude. They just go into the Hall of Fame.
No, they go in with a...
No, they don't.
No? Well, I know the bus doesn't have anything on it, but
no.
I thought they picked their team.
Hutch, Michigan. Elfline, Ohio State, but we'll talk about that in another show. No, I just, part of me always says, anyway, Cousins he's good enough to get you to the Super Bowl, but, and then I see these other quarterbacks that are playmakers. He doesn't make any of these plays that these guys make. So, I guess we're just going to have to get through next season to see what happens. But there's too many ifs up in the air for me. This whole thing seems
like if they extend Cousins.
See, and that's where I don't know, man. I just, if I'm Wilf, but if I'm Wilf and the Vikings are kind of where we think they might be, kind of 8-8, 9-7-ish, kind of a one and done feel to them if they make the playoffs.
Right.
Do you extend Cousins? I mean, do you keep Spielman? Do you keep Zimmer? I mean, that now it kind of seems like you're getting into Marvin Lewis with the Bengals territory. I mean, Marvin had some good regular seasons, but the Bengals never did anything of consequence. I don't even think they won a playoff game under him.
I've heard that comparison by other fans. Marv Lewis syndrome.
Yeah, but do you get to Andy Reid?
What?
Andy Reid did that for so many years, where he just made the playoffs.
But with the
Chiefs.
Eagles.
We got to bring it back to the Super Bowl. Obviously, he won today for the first time.
When he was with the Eagles, he went to the NFC Championship 4 straight years before he broke through and got to the Super Bowl, and then he lost it, to the Patriots. So I think that's kind of I don't know. I take Andy Reid over. I don't know. It doesn't matter what I think.
I'm just saying. I don't know. 2020 is going to be hard on all of us Vikings fans because we know there's a lot of changes that have to happen, right? And if they don't, we know we're in trouble. So it's going to be tough. But here at Good Morning Gallahorn, we're here to talk about it, baby. And whether it be good, or more on the positive side, or on the negative side, or plus or minuses, or different things we think of, especially after each of us have almost 5 decades of fandom apiece. We'll let you know, and which is sweet. And hopefully everything works out at the end, because as Vikings fans, we all want that Super Bowl victory. Absolutely every one of us. I don't know one of us that doesn't.
If I don't die before I'm 120, then the Vikings might win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
It's just going into the season feels a lot tougher than it did last year and even the year previous. I kind of feel like, what we used to do is come out with some kind of demo in April or May, and then we go out on tour in like June for summer.
Right.
And I think 94 was my really kick-ass band. We kicked ass all over Northern California. We were playing with Y&T. We were playing with Ronnie Montrose. We were having good shows, and then I lost my drummer and my guitar player about January of the following year. And I thought to myself, no matter who I fucking get, it ain't going to be like it was. That's how I feel right now about the Vikings.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I got a guitar player and a drummer, and we cut a CD, and it wasn't as good. The live shows weren't as good. We weren't getting booked at the venues we were getting booked at. It wasn't the same. And I knew it. I knew it when I lost those guys and I had to do it over. I knew in my head it wasn't going to be the same because I had the perfect guys in the band. So I kind of feel like the Vikings, last offseason I was thinking, we're a playoff team. We're certainly a playoff team. How deep can we go? And that's going to justify Zimmer and Spielman's longevity. I knew we were a playoff team.
Yes.
I feel right now, guys, like a 6-10 team.
I felt
a 6-10 season. I don't want to say team because
I
don't
want
know
to say
yet.
better than that, but
I know, but that's how I feel right now. And last offseason, I was thinking we're playoffs. We're going to the play. I felt really strongly about that. I don't feel that.
I've got a question.
My
for
faith
you,
is dwindling.
Drew, when you lost your drummer and you lost your guitar player, did sitting down and composing music by yourself help your mental state? Say you were...
No, I was soiling myself because I had to come out with another CD of I had another CD. You see, you cut your CD in August and then you send your shit out to like NAMM and these music festivals.
Uh-huh.
I knew when I cut these new songs, they weren't going to be as good because half my songwriting came from the guitar player.
Ah.
I shat my pantaloons.
I did the lyrics, he did the music, we kind of combined it. And the new guy was good, but he was just like, you weren't on the same Maybe level. It's the same between a quarterback and a center snap or something, or a quarterback and a wide receiver. If you're on with somebody and you know what's going on, you're both on the same page, it works a lot easier. Mm-hmm. Like when Mahomes threw that long bomb to Hill, if you look at the center replay they showed the second time, he just threw it. He threw it because he knew where Hill was going to. He threw that ball deep knowing Hill was going to catch up to it or stop and wait for it. He knew he was going to be there. So when you get two guys on the same page, I don't feel like the Vikings are going to be on the same page this year. I'm just really I'm pessimistic to begin with, but I don't see what they can do. If they had money to be active in free agency, I'd feel better about it. But the fact that you take all that away and that you have to rely so much on
creating space to create the money. Yes.
I felt every year under the Mike Zimmer era, except his first year, 2014, 15, 16, 17, and 18. And even this past year, 2019, every season felt like they had acquired enough talent to go to the playoffs and make a deep run. And I'm looking at the talent. There's going to be talent on offense, but now you're asking the offense to pretty much carry the defense, at least for the first part of the year, until those new guys get acclimated. And like you said, it's going to be new faces, new roles, new responsibilities. And I'm with you, man. I'm with you, Drew. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
A lot could change, and we don't want to predict records in February. But if I had to right now, I'm just not feeling good from a gut standpoint, which sucks because I have a pretty big gut. You think I'd hold a lot in there. But I hope things change around as the off season goes on. And we do this. Maybe things will. I don't know. Like Ted said many episodes ago, right when you're down for the count as a Viking fan, something surprises you and it's good, and they jump out to a 7-0 start, and we're all going,
"Where'd that come from?" Yeah, exactly. That's true.
Hey, let's go on to not lose the next 5. Well, you know me. If I get into a particular mood or emotional state, I throw it into my artwork. Drew,
good. I want to pitch Shakira tomorrow.
I'll have to find one. Anyways, Drew, I do want you to put something in the music, how you feel about going into 2020. You're a composer. You can do that. You're a marvelous musician. Ted, I would love for you to put in your talents into creating something.
You're not my dad. Don't tell me what to do.
Hey, I know I'm not your dad. I'm just, a fellow Good Morning Gallahorn personality.
I have no talents, brother.
Maybe I'll.
You have a couple, but I won't say them on air.
I'm Still Alive by Pearl Jam, because that's what we're going to have to go on next year. Yeah, it's good. I don't know. It's good to talk about, but I just feel like the Vikings are really backed up now. I don't know.
Yeah, 2020 is going to be a challenge. I think it's going to be the most challenging year of Zimmer and Spielman's tenure, without question.
Okay.
I just don't want it to be a complete waste, and we clean house, and I'm going, why didn't we do this last year and spend 2020 at least getting ahead of the damage control and the whole thing?
That's my fear. I'm thinking they're going to start the rebuild a year too late, and when you should have started it a year too early.
Possible.
Whatever.
Well, rolling this back since we've gone our time limit, looking back at the Super Bowl, both San Francisco and Kansas City were not in the big game in 2019. They obviously are for 2019 Super Bowl. 2018 season. They made it the 2019 season and made it to the Super Bowl this year. So that does give us a slight twinkle bit of hope moving forward.
Oh yeah, Ted, don't forget, we got voodoo and magic, baby.
Yeah.
Never count those two things out.
If teams that haven't been to the Super Bowl in 20 years make it, then maybe the Vikings can make it. That's another maybe we can add.
Maybe. But Drew, I know you're coming up. We're coming into draft season, and you're going to work on your big boards, which
after the combine. Yeah, I'll start in after the combine.
Which I hope to focus on. Ted, have you got anything coming up on Daily Norseman, since you're wearing your Daily Norseman T-shirt, or anything coming in the future?
No, nothing.
Do I have to buy one of those if I want one, or do you have an extra one?
I don't have an extra one. Mine was free. I'll hit you up offline.
We should tell the Grand Poobah, since we are a member of SB Nation, that hey.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll hit them up.
Yep. So, anyways, any last words you'd like to say, Ted?
Yeah, we mentioned Steve Hutchinson making the Hall of Fame. I thought that was awesome.
Awesome.
Unfortunately, the Vikings, one that was kind of brutal for me. We lost a former Viking great this past week in defensive end and Hall of Famer Chris Dolman. Dolman, man, he was part of I would argue, the second best defensive line in Vikings history with him, Keith Millard, Henry Thomas, and Dolman. That line was ferocious. There was that one year in the late 80s where both Dolman had like 21 and a half sacks. I think Millard had like 18 or 19.
They got like 71 or 75 sacks for a defense that season, which is outstanding. That
was just one of the better defenses in Vikings history, and Chris Dolman was a large part of the Vikings going on the run they did, and he was a great player for a very long time. And rest in peace, Chris Dolman. You brought a lot of Vikings fans a lot of great memories over the year.
It's well said. I got, I kind of did a little deep dive after the other day when all that stuff was going on, and I rewatched a lot of the games that I had seen Dolman play, and 150 sacks for his career, and he's pretty underrated. You don't really hear a lot about. I mean, there's only 4 guys that have ever played in this league who have more sacks than Chris Dolman. 4. He's the 5th highest sacker in all of the league. Wow. And somebody told me the other day, they called me, we were talking Vikings, they said, how did Dolman get so many sacks? I know he was quick off the edge. He had that dip move, and he could really fly off the edge. But how did he get the sacks, do you think, Drew? And I said, you know why he got so many sacks? Because I think a lot of quarterbacks underestimated the 10-foot rule with Chris Dolman. Usually when you got somebody coming at you, you know in your head how long you got to throw it. Mm-hmm. Chris Dolman had the incredible gift of covering 10 feet in like 0.33 seconds. He got off the edge, and he would get to the quarterback. He would get to the quarterback so fast, I don't think they realized it. And he's got a lot of sacks that way. But I will say the most impressive thing I ever saw Dolman do, and he did it all the time, he would get a hand on the quarterback as the quarterback's throwing, mm-hmm. and then he would be the guy that tackles the running back in the flat on the same play.
Yeah.
On the same play, he was that fast to get outside and tackle the run. He was so fast and everywhere. He was always around the ball, and God bless him, man. He's just a great player, and I'm glad he was a Viking, and
yeah.
Hail to Chris Dolman. You're one of the greatest ever. And in terms of defensive end, I put him right up there with Carl Eller and anybody. But, it was the second greatest defensive line we've ever had. And it was fun to watch, and I'm glad he was on our team.
Yep. Amen.
I know his passing hit me hard because that was a position I played, and how he played it with that lean into the tackle and be able to get underneath and so quick to the quarterback. And there's nothing, as a defensive end, there's nothing like hearing the air go out of a quarterback's lungs as you sack them. And he was one of those that took pleasure in that. And it was just so sweet. And it is so tragic how he died. He fought to the end. It just, our hearts go out to him. Absolutely go out to him. It hurt me, and we hate to see him go. But till Valhalla.
Dolman Tour 2020.
Yeah, Dolman Tour 2020.
Let's pick up the pieces and get down it.
Any last words, Drew, beyond that?
No, I think I'll just end it with that because I'm not feeling real good right now. kind of sad.
It is. But we just finished the Super Bowl. Kansas City won their second Super Bowl of their history, 50 years after they beat us. And we move on into the offseason now. The new year officially starts March 14th, if I remember correctly. And we go on from there. There'll be lots going on. And Ted, Drew, and myself will be here to cover it with you. So join.
Are we
Good
going
morning.
live draft this year? Are we doing a live draft
show?
show?
Absolutely. That's one live show we'll do is live draft.
Call Gates. Tell him to make arrangements now. I know he's got a big fucking schedule.
You got that, Chris? You're on the hook. Anyways.
All right, guys.
Skol, everybody. We'll see you in a week or two.
Thanks for watching.
See ya.